It's June 25th, 2015, and 9 people are on a boat in the middle of the ocean that connects/divides the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea. This single motored boat is headed toward Mexico in the pitch black of night to avoid police, because if the police catch these 9 Cuban folks on board trying to defect the country, they'll be arrested. But there's also a chance they can meet their fate with the sharks in the waters beneath them. It's scary. They all know of the stories of the people who did the same thing they were doing at this very moment, only to end up in the waters and never return. Amongst the 9 people on this little boat is a 20-year-old who has just one thing he owns in this world at the moment: the clothes he's wearing. His mother and uncle knew he was on this boat attempting to escape, but nobody else did. They couldn't. It was too much of a risk of word getting spread, and so here is this young man with 8 other strangers on an insanely dangerous journey, one that would end up successful, getting to Mexico around noon that day, and this is where the story of Randy Arozarena begins. So welcome, and if you're part of the 70% of viewers not subscribed yet, come aboard and join the wonderful people who are subscribed to the channel, as Randy had always been built smaller. He was never one of the bigger kids on his baseball teams, not back in Cuba as a teenager, and neither was he in Mexico. In fact, he was even smaller in Mexico, being compared to the looks of a little boy. But Randy knew he was good, and after showing a lot of his potential and talent through multiple leagues throughout Mexico, St. Louis Cardinals scout Ramon Garcia, who had been working closely with Randy, building a good relationship with him, convinced the team to sign him to a $1.25 million contract, and so onto their minor league system he went, where he'd play for 3 years before being called up to the big leagues at the end of 2019, hitting .300 with a homer in 19 games. So life is obviously much better now. He's richer, he's a big leaguer, and most importantly, he's since been reunited with his family, who were able to legally leave Cuba since Randy became a Mexican resident, so they got visas. Life is great. But several months later, before the 2020 season, Randy was traded to the Rays, a moment where he himself says he had a little doubt in himself, considering this was all foreign to him. He'd never been traded. He probably took it as the Cardinals not wanting him. But little did he know, the reality was that the Rays did want him. That's how it should have been looked at, because everything changed once he put on the Tampa Bay uniform. Like it does for many players, as the Rays have become known for getting the best out of players no matter who they are. I'm pretty sure they can take some homeless dude and turn him into an all-star relief pitcher. They just make the most out of guys' strengths and turn them into impact players on winning teams, which is exactly what Randy Arozarena became. Soon after the pandemic hit, the baseball season was delayed along with everything, and by the time it came back, Randy was out for a month because of the virus, but he'd play his first games for the Rays at the end of August and be there all of September, silently putting up great numbers before a loud and historic postseason. Bro strapped on his cleats, tightened his batting gloves, and turned into Barry Bonds. No, seriously, Randy lit the world on fire, hitting almost .400 in the Rays' deep postseason run that consisted of 20 games, passed Evan Longoria for most homers by a rookie in the postseason, becoming the first rookie to win the ALCS MVP award, and in the World Series broke the all-time record for most home runs in a single postseason, while also passing Derek Jeter for most hits by a rookie in the postseason, before passing Pablo Sandoval for the most hits in a single postseason, period. Nobody has more. He averaged a home run every other game. It was incredible, and Randy immediately became a Rays legend, and this was just the beginning. Randy went on to win the Rookie of the Year award, which then makes me realize that he somehow was able to break all these records for rookies in 2020 without actually being qualified as a rookie, and then when he actually was qualified as a rookie, won the Rookie of the Year award. Obviously, yeah, I know, even though he wasn't officially a rookie in 2020, he still counts as one for the record-breaking stuff, but it's still funny. So technically, Randy broke a bunch of records in 2020 without even being an existing player. But anyway, 2021, he wins the Rookie of the Year award on a 100-win division-winning Tampa Bay Rays team, stole home in Game 1 of the playoffs before the Rays would lose every game after, but he was back to doing his thing in 2022 with another solid year, hitting another 20 home runs, stealing 12 more bases, and then 2023 came, which honestly at least partially was the year of Randy Arozarena, and it started in the World Baseball Classic in March. Randy is of course of Cuban descent, but because he became a Mexican citizen, something that basically saved his life and got him to where he is today, he has so much respect and loyalty to the country, and since he's a citizen, was able to represent Mexico for the World Baseball Classic, and it couldn't have gone much better than it did. Mexico came up just short, but but Randy hit over 600 in the tournament with 6 doubles, a home run, 9 RBIs, while also making some key highlight catches and then doing his pose that would soon become his thing, the Randy pose. The dude was awesome to watch, and it continued throughout the 2023 season for the Rays, a team that win 99 games and go back to the playoffs, with Randy getting named an All-Star for the first time, connecting for a career-high 23 home runs, stole 22 more bases, and led all of baseball in vibes, as he just continued doing that pose all year. After getting big hits, as he rounded third base on home runs, he was just awesome. And this is where we get into Randy Arozarena being an even better human being and man. Yes, he's a great player, but he's also one of the more fan-friendly players you'll ever see. You can tell he truly appreciates each and every single fan he has and doesn't take it for granted. The Rays eventually made it all about Randy for Friday home games, having a designated area in left field where Randy plays called Randyland, where fans sitting in sections 141 or 143 on those nights wore an Arozarena themed t-shirt given out, along with getting a free beverage if he hit a home run. So you have all these fans going nuts, some holding up faces of Randy. He loved it. It was awesome. Randy absolutely loved his time with the Rays, and I say that in past tense because he no longer is a Ray. With the team not being as strong this year, including Randy, who started off slow although he's heated up over the last couple of months, the team has decided to go all in on selling a lot of their players, and that included Arozarena, sending them to a desperate Seattle offense. I mean, they need hitting like a desert needs water, so it's the end of an era, but when this trade happened, Rays sideline reporter Trisha Whitaker tweeted out a thank you to Randy for his time there, and what I think perfectly sums up who he is as a man along with the player that he is. Trisha said that when Randy decides you're his friend or teammate or a true fan of his, he will do anything he can to make you happy as a fan or to protect and defend you as a friend or his teammate at all costs. Before telling a pretty nice story, Trisha brought up how sometimes women have creepers at the field, dudes who deserve to be castrated. She didn't say that part, I did, but you get the point. Creepy losers who say gross things and get too close to them, and she said it doesn't happen often, but one time at the ballpark, there was apparently some random idiot who was yelling nasty stuff from the seats in her direction. Randy doesn't understand much English, but he still somehow understood what was going on, and according to Trisha, it took about one glance from Randy and one step toward the fan in the stands for the creep in the stands to know his place, quickly disappearing into the crowd, and she never saw him come back again. And from that point forward, Randy would walk up to her at the field almost every day and check in, asking her in Spanish, "Everything good today?" I thought that was a really nice, wholesome story, but it gets even better when you see what Randy did before heading to Seattle after the trade. He sat down in the left field stands amongst the fans at Tropicana Field with his family, full-on incognito mode before saying goodbye to everyone and heading out. Can't really find anyone more for the fans. It's incredible. And it's also a drastic difference from the way pitcher Zach Eflin treated getting traded from the Rays. Eflin, who was recently traded to Baltimore, made a comment about how much the Orioles crowd was into the game, saying it was a little different than Tampa. Now, I get it, and he's not wrong. I get that part of it is him appreciating his new fan base, and he's not lying that Tampa can be a little dead mostly with the crowds, but there's definitely a better way he could have went about it, especially when you see the way Randy handled his goodbye. He doesn't have to do that, but I think it's just such a great example of how awesome Randy is. This is a dude who very easily could not be here today. He could be long gone, eaten by the sharks, or back in Cuba suffering. But because he took those risks, prayed, worked hard, and did everything he could to get to where he's at today and help his family, which is the ultimate goal, Randy truly appreciates everyone. He's not the kind of guy who would criticize the lack of attendance at the Trop. He's the type of guy who would praise who was there, even if just 20 people. He would make those 20 fans feel appreciated. Randy's career is far from over. The journey continues, and it will be interesting to see how he does moving forward, but his time in Tampa Bay is over right now. It was fun while it lasted, it's the end of an era, and the Mariners in the process get not just a good hitter, a good player, but a great man in person. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.